Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. It's been a long time since I made a video. Just haven't had the drive to do much, but I have had something on my mind of building a new cheater rig. So I've been planning this out for a really long time, and the plan was originally to do a build along series of videos as I went along. So I got to thinking and working on getting all my parts added up and everything. So I got everything ordered, got them here, and I got so excited I started messing with it. And it's a little more complicated than I would have felt comfortable doing a follow along video. So I went ahead and built 99% of the truck ahead of time. So the idea with this truck is to outdo my old one. My old one is a Poise T3 V1, which is an incredible truck. It's one of the best around, and really proud of how it does. But I had things going through my mind of things I can do to build a better truck. So the idea is crazy vertical lines with a bunch of breakover. So originally I wanted a poised T3 V2 kill mode, and I went to order one and it wasn't available. They had the Thumper, which has the longer chassis, so you can put bumpers on it and make it more of a comp style cheater rig. So I got that and got to thinking about it, and comp style is not what I'm wanting to do. I'm wanting to do something totally extreme and as good as I can build it. And that one just didn't fit the bill. And in the meantime, I started seeing all these videos pop up with a Lawless Smooth Criminal. And this thing is incredible looking. It has crazy breakover and just a neat design. And I figured I'd give it a go. So I actually sold my Thumper and decided not to use it, and I bought me a Lawless Smooth Criminal, and here it is. This thing is totally crazy. So I'm gonna change this around and put the POV view on, put the camera on my head so I can explain it better, and I'll show you what all I'm working with. So hang tight. Okay, there it is. Lawless Smooth Criminal 2.0. This is the newer version. The new version has a more of a curved shape at the front of the chassis. The older one is a little more squared off, so that lets it clear obstacles a little better. So you can see the crazy shape of the chassis. Got tons of breakover. So let me show you what it comes with and show you what I chose to do. It comes with the skid. Here's the skid that comes with it. This one is set up for Dlux axles, which I have. And I changed mine. It comes with a slot to mount your gearbox in. Got the Lawless RC logo on there. Really cool. Really nice quality. And these are I wouldn't call them sliders, but they go on the side of the chassis where a slider would go. I guess just help it ease over the rocks better and stuff. I didn't use these. So the reason I didn't use those is I decided I wanted to make mine narrower. This is 70 millimeters wide. I've got the Dlux ultralight transmission, and it's really small, so I want to get this thing as narrow as I could. So I made it, let me get this out of the way. I made the chassis narrower, 65 millimeter inside. So I printed my own skid with two things in mind. I'm calling it the 65 millimeter gangster lean transmission skid. So what it is, there's such a steep angle, the transmission sits pretty steep and goes, the output shaft goes straight up. So my idea was to kick the transmission back and could give it the gangster lean. So it leans back. I don't remember the degrees. I'd have to look it up. It's about 18 degrees or so. You can see the transmission right there. You can see the transmission sits back at an angle like this. So what I did, can't really see, but in the skid, it's got a pocket that's leaned back, and there's a notch for the motor rotation, so I can get it as low as possible and get that gangster lean so the angle of the axle is not so bad. So all the printed parts on here I did with bamboo PAHTCF, which is a carbon fiber infused nylon. Same thing I've been using in all my other trucks. It holds up really well. The skid will actually get a fuzzy texture once it gets some rub on it, and it's really slick. Same thing with the sliders. So I guess we'll go over the parts. That's the chassis. I printed this bearing hanger with a little more link clearance. He's got some new ones coming out on the way to me. As a matter of fact, there's a X cross base goes back here that's raised up, and this one right here with the Lawless RC logo. He's making me some to fit this width, and they should be on the way soon. So I appreciate that. So I also printed the body mount, almost exact same thing I used in my boys truck. Just want something I designed to hold up for the monster truck body. I'll show you that in a minute. So I printed that, and I just used the little crossbar and cut it down to 65 millimeters in the back. No big deal. So the sliders are something I made to fit the body, so the body just barely fits over there, and will keep it from dragging, ripping the body off. I'm using magnet mounts like I always do. That way they, big fall, instead of just breaking the body, it falls off. Seems to work pretty good, and it's pretty convenient just to slap the body on it. I did a good bit of parts from Dlux. The part of the design of this was I wanted it lowest center of gravity as possible, and to do that, I wanted to do straight axle. I mulled over it for a while and went through this axle and that axle, and I saw these, and I finally said, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. Go ahead and do it right. So I got the SS Dlux straight axles, front and rear. Beautiful pieces. So SS Dlux, and then I used the front ones have the brass knuckles, 0 degree inclination. I actually intended on ordering the 8 degree inclination and messed that up somehow, so I went ahead and just going to go with it. I may try the 8 degree later. So I'd also used the Dlux loaded dice wheels, which I thought were really cool, and the loaded dice hangers. So this actually, let's see how well you can tell it, that the brass weight with tungsten actually goes up in the wheel a little bit, and it sits low. So you can see it's like real low center of gravity. And then I printed some little spacers for my steering stops. That turned out pretty good. The gears, I used a OT6 24/8 in the front and a Vanquish 33/8 in the rear. Either way, it ends up with like 32% overdrive. That's about all I can get out of it without doing an overdrive transmission. So speaking of the transmission, I love these Dlux ultralight transmissions. So I'm trying to keep all the weight unsprung as much as I can. So I wanted a lightweight transmission. So I used the no overdrive straight axle Dlux transmission. And let's see what else. Back to the front axle, on the weight on the axle, I've got a Shift RC GT3 S V2 servo, which is a low profile servo that's got incredible power. So to power that, I didn't, all this trouble that people are having with direct power servos, I wanted to try not using a direct power. So I got this one. It's 8.4 volt and super strong at 8.4 volts. And to make that work the way I want it to, I used the Big Kid Tiny Truck ESC motor combo. This Big Kid Tiny Truck combo has a 10 amp BEC built in it, so that should work out really good. I used their motor too. I can't remember the size of the motor, whatever comes with that combo. I'm using a Sanwa radio, so I bought one of these cheaper Sanwa receivers. Seemed to work out good. You see, I got it. It's taped to this cross brace up here, upside down, got barely clearance. So I got everything up there most all the weight here. So also, one more thing I did, I just got the ESC zip tied to the, and some double-sided tape to the top of the servo mount. Other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to use a tiny battery, and I wanted to keep it as low as possible. So I made a 3D printed piece battery tray right here on the back of the servo. You can see the servo here. This is a piece that comes with it, with the axle, and there's normally aluminum mounts to mount the servo. Well, I took those mounts out and designed a carbon fiber nylon battery tray, and I'm using a Ovonic 450 tiny little battery. I've already tested this thing out on the rocks a little bit here at the house, and it seems to work really good. So it's got, if you look right down here, you can see just a Velcro little tray it sits in. Let's see if I can get it in here. Well, there we go. So it just sits there right there in the tray. So everything is down super low, and all this weight is on the front axle, not sprung weight. So something new I'm trying is in the design of it. So shocks, I'm doing SS Dlux. I think they're 90mm in the rear and 80mm in the front. I have some internal springs on the fronts, and I haven't done any much tuning on these yet, so I'm probably gonna play around with that. And the fronts have like 40 weight oil, and the rears have 55 weight oil. No, I'm sorry, 55 weight in the front and 40 in the rear. The rears have a lot of travel, a lot more than I expected, so I actually put some fuel tubing in there for stops so they don't travel up so far. I think I got them about where I want them. The little tuning, I'm probably gonna have to do some tuning here on the setup board, on the incline board, and to get it dialed in. So these, another thing on these axles I forgot to mention is the spacers. It's got I went by what they suggested, 600,000 spacer in the rear and a 350 in the front, I believe. The front one, he told me to do that so he could have room to put the loaded dice hangers on the outside to make them wider, but it ended up rubbing a little bit. So I printed some nylon carbon spacers front and rear to get the width where I want. The width is roughly 10.5 inches, very similar to what my other one was. The tires are J Concepts Hold 5.25. It's a 2.2 wheel with 5.25 tall. So these loaded dice things, there weren't any inserts available at the time, and I wanted to make my own anyway because, you know, I like to get them dialed in. I intended on buying ruptures, and they were out of stock, been out of stock for a while. And I've been watching all these videos of Mason Hill at Lawless, his truck, using these holds, and been chatting with him, and he said he likes these better than the 525 ruptures. So I think they look really neat, and I wanted to give them a shot, so that's what I went with. As far as the inserts go, I printed insert. The way these wheels go together is you've got this is just a carbon ring, and then there's I don't know if it's fiberglass or something inside. It's just like a donut. You glue this to a tire, then you bolt these together with these standoffs. And this is one of the things I should have done a video on how to do. There's like 4 standoffs. You can't really see them in there. It's just a round piece of plastic that comes with it. I took those out, needed them to be a little wider for these tires, so I bought some brass ones that are made for a drone and put them in there, 25mm wide. So you take those and you bolt those 2 donuts together, and then you have to trim some off the inner lip of the tire, glue it to the bead on the other side, and then you cut the lip out of the back side and you just glue it around there. So, you know, it takes me back to racing, gluing tires, and I don't miss that at all. It's kind of a tedious process, but it works out pretty good. So what I did, I printed the inner piece just like I did on my other wheels and tires. So I've got a 2.2 loaded dice insert that I made, and it's made out of 95A with like 4% infill, so it's got a little squish to it. And then as far as the foam, there's an open cell foam. It's actually a rupture foam from 1.9, and I cut the inside to fit my inner piece, glued them to that with this tire glue, and then trimmed the outer edge of the foam till it felt the way I want it to, and it feels pretty good. I think they're going to work really good. They got to get these tires, from what I understand, need a lot of break-in, so I'm planning on doing that here soon. So hopefully next day or two. And then so that's the setup for that. The weight bias is very front forward weight biased. I think it was, I checked it before I had all the parts on. It was pretty close. It was like 71% front. So anxious to see how it works. I have taken this out on the rocks here at the house at Hammer Rock, and before I had some of the pieces on it, and my gosh, it's unbelievable. It does some things that my poise truck won't even do. So, and I've not even tuned on it yet. So let's see what else. Look at the bottom of it. Oh, the links. The links were a nightmare, to be honest with you. This SSD Dlux axle is very wide mounting points. So the ends I'm using, trying to put them on the skid, had them in more of a bind than I liked. So I ended up putting them on the outside of the chassis, and it worked out great. These are just short front axles, and the uppers are a little complicated because of the way that the SS Dlux axle is. I can only mount on the top of that servo plate, so they're tiny short little links with a bend in it go down here. And I had to add a hole because I put these links on the outside on this new chassis. I had to add a hole up higher. I like them higher anyway, so I put them up there where I get the geometry where I wanted it, and that turned out great. It was a chore to get those done, but not a big deal. The rear, it's kind of unique how people are building these links on the rear of the Lawless. I make all my own links, so I decided I was going to try this. So the first thing I did was I had some 3/32 aluminum welding rod, happens to fit down in these ends perfect. So I took them and bent them to the shape until I got it where I liked it, and used that for a jig. And then the top ones, are just straight with one little bend in it to clear those, and they fit just right. So the bottom ones, I wasn't sure how I was going to get that one bend in it like that. So I had this crazy idea. Downstairs in my gym, I've got all my weights down there. I took one in, I went ahead and got the length by using my aluminum rod. Set the wheelbase. I made a jig to set the wheelbase. The wheelbase is actually 14 3/8 of an inch, so it's super long, which is also part of the plan too. So I took these links. They ended up being 8.5 inches front, top, and bottom, so it worked out good. So I went ahead and took the die and cut the threads in them and clamped this in onto a 10-pound free weight. Took a hose clamp, clamped on that end, and just hand bent it a little at a time. I had to switch around to the other side until it matched my piece of aluminum rod. So the fronts are 4mm, same thing I use on my poise truck. It seems to hold up good. But the rears, I made them 5mm because they're so long. I've tried using 4mm stainless rod, by the way. I've tried to use 4mm rod in my poise truck before and bent them pretty easy. So went up to a 5mm. I've never have bent one in a poise truck, so I went ahead and made them like that. So, but you can see this thing's got crazy clearance for a straight axle truck to be able to run your whole fist through there like that. It's pretty nuts. So this thing is going to be awesome. So the only other thing I think of is the body. So that's the only thing I haven't done yet. I'm going to probably do a video on how I do the body. So that's what I'm going to do today. My goal is to get the body finished today, and then tomorrow I'll be able to get it out on the rocks and get some video coverage in the next video, and show you how good this thing is. So here's the body. I've chose, you know, my old body on my Poise truck was a Junior Mortician from J Concepts monster truck body, and I love that look, and I want to stick with this but change it up a little bit. So I got the J Concepts Mortician, not the Junior Mortician. So this one is a little bit different style. It's basically like a gravedigger type body. So I've got it fit and trimmed up and everything. Just got to get the paint on it. So actually I got my magnets. I'm gonna put my magnets on there so it sits right, I think. So that's how it's just gonna sit right there. So okay, so quick update. I didn't do any instructional stuff on how to do the body. I just got busy doing it and just went ahead and did it. I got a little too excited and got it done. So here I got it done. I'm going to show you how it looks here. There it is. Let me turn this light down. This is terrible. So this is it. This is the Punisher theme. I painted the base, the inside gunmetal, so where it's sanded down or wore down looking, you can see it looks like seeing metal through there. And then I painted the primer on it in the black and sanded it down some. I put a Punisher skull on the hood and the Punisher logo on the side. Took some of my daughter's makeup and smeared it in places to give it kind of a weathered look. Not sure if that's coming through on the camera, but it looks like it's kind of worn out. And then once I did that, I put the matte clear finish on like I always do. But that's it. I haven't got it mounted yet, so that's what I'm doing next. The mounts, use magnet mounts, so I got these magnets go on the body, so I put a little super glue on here, place the body where it won't, let it get set and good in place, and then I'll take it off once that's hardened, and I'll put shoe glue on it real good so it stays on real good. So let it sit overnight with shoe glue on it, and it should be good to go tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to try to get this thing out to Moss Rock, and I've only got one battery pack, so we're going to try to make it as much of it count as we can. Just try to pull some kind of line. So anyway, make sure stay tuned. We got more coming. So that's pretty much the rundown. There it is. Pretty crazy looking. So I did want to thank the guys at Big Kid Tiny Truck. I had some trouble getting the motor running at first, and I chatted with him late a couple of nights ago, and he responded immediately and was very helpful. And it turns out the same thing, I forgot the same trouble I had with my Samoa radio on my other trucks, is you have to change the throttle type to F5 B5 or the motor won't run for whatever reason. And we went through everything on it, and he was very helpful and helped me get it going, and I figured it out right there at the end. Oh, one more thing I want to show you too about this. This is a Escape. It's called an Escape 32 ESC, and has the 10 amp BC in it, but also has another feature where you can change the startup tone. You can do Star Wars, Dukes of Hazzard, Flintstones, Jeopardy, pretty much anything. So right now I think mine's set to Dukes of Hazzard. Let's see what it sounds like. So anyway, that's just another neat little feature. It's kind of silly, but it's fun. I kind of like that. So I played around with it last night. I had every tone you can imagine on there. So anyway, that's it. That's the rundown. That's my new build, and this thing is going to be awesome. Probably going to hurt some feelings, but it's all in good fun. So stay tuned. We're going to have the next part. I'm going to try to do one on the painting the body, and then we're definitely going to start doing maybe some tuning footage and actually getting it out on the rocks. I might do a little tuning before I go out on the rocks. Maybe I can get out there tomorrow and get some video of that. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you next time.